Crochet friends, I'm Tiffany. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in on how to make the granny ripple stitch wall hanger. Now it works upside down, so how I have it hung, it's white, yellow, gray, white, yellow, white, and then my white is the strings at the bottom as well. So if you want it exactly like this, just know that you need to do it upside down. So you would start with white, yellow, and then gray versus white, yellow, white. So just know if you have a design in mind, it's going to be upside down. So I'm going to turn this around and show you how we start working this up. All right, so to begin, you need an I 5.25 millimeter hook and just some medium weight yarn that's size 4 and any colors that you would like. So just remember, it's the top color that you choose, that's the one you're going to start with, not the bottom of your hanger. So to do the granny ripple stitch, you need to chain in multiples of 24, and each 24 is an upside down V. So I've obviously done 3 multiples of 24, and that is 72. 24 plus 24 plus 24 is 72, and then you just subtract 2. So I'm going to put a little bit of multiples on the screen. You can pause it. Maybe one of those is what you can go with. So when you get all that figured out, if you want to do exactly like mine, you're going to chain 70 because I already subtracted the 2. So whatever multiples you want, just remember, subtract 2. So I'm going to start chaining up to 70. You make a slip knot. And I will meet you when I'm done chaining my 70. And we're going to start going up our first mountain. So that is 4 clusters, and every single side has 4 clusters. So to begin, in the 4th chain from the hook, you're going to do 3 double crochets. So not what's on your hook, that's your 1st chain, your 2nd chain, your 3rd chain, that's your 4th chain. Go in that and do 3 double crochets. All in the same chain. It's 1, 2, and 3. And you see how you're in that stitch? So you skip the next 2 stitches, go into the 3rd, and do 3 double crochets. All in that same chain as well. 1, 2, 3. You're in that stitch. So, and then skip the next 2 stitches, go into the next, do 3 double crochets. You've done 3 clusters, so skip 2 chains, go into the next, and you're going to do your 4th cluster, and that's the top of your mountain. And at the top of your mountain, you do something a little bit different, and at the bottom of your valleys, you do something a little bit different as well. So you have your 1, 2, 3, 4 clusters, and you're at the top of your first mountain, and it's a shared space. So at the top of all of your mountains, you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and in that same space, you're going to do 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and that gives you your first mountain. and that's your 4 clusters to make one of your sides. That is the start of your 4 clusters. So now you need 3 more to get to the bottom of your valley. So you just do the same thing. So you skip 2 chains, do 3 double crochets in the next. Skip 2 chains, do 3 double crochets in the next. And you're just working down your mountain. And that is 3 clusters already. So this is your last cluster to get to your valley. Skip 2, go in the next with 3 double crochets. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now you're at your valley. So to do that, you're going to skip 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and in the 6th chain, you're going to do your 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th chain, do 3 double crochets. And that pulls your work together to create your first valley. It's pretty neat how that works. It's not as noticeable quite yet, but you'll start seeing it. And that's your first cluster to start going back up the mountain. So you need 3 more clusters. Skip 2, go in the next with your 3 double crochets. Skip 2, go in the next with your 3, yarn over first, 3 double crochets. And you have 3 clusters, you need 1 more. Skip 2, go in the next. And when you're at the top of the mountain, remember your 4th cluster is a shared space. Hold it like this. So that's the valley. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 clusters. So the top of the mountain is chaining 3 and then doing 3 double crochets in that same exact space. Like so. Got a valley, got your second mountain. Now you're gonna need to go to your second valley. This is your first cluster, so you need 3 more because every single side has 4. Skip 2, go in the next, just like you've been doing. It's pretty easy, and if you chained more than 70 from the beginning, then you would obviously just have more mountains and valleys, but it's the same process. Skip 2, go in the next. This is your 3rd cluster. You're almost to your second valley. Skip 2, go in the next. And this is your 4th cluster, so you're at your valley. And And remember, at your valley, you skip 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go in the 6th with 3 double crochets. And it just pulls your work together to give you that valley look. And that's your first cluster for your next row to go up the mountain. So you need 3 more clusters. Skip 2, go in the next. This is your last mountain to go up and down. If you did this pattern along with me, skip 2, go in the next. Got 3 clusters, skip 2, go in the next for your 4th cluster. And at the top of the mountain, you chain 3, 1, 2, 3. In that same stitch or chain, you do 3 more double crochets on the top of that mountain. And you go back down your final side by skipping 2, going in the next. This is your 2nd cluster. Skip 2, go in the next for your 3rd cluster. And you should have 3 chains if you did this correctly. And like before, you'd skip 2 chains, do your last cluster in your last stitch. However, this is 4 double crochets for this last cluster, not 3, but 4. And why, you may ask? Because the beginning is a chain 4, because you went into the 4th chain from your hook, which leaves you 4 chains, and then 3 double crochets, which is 4 double crochets. And to match, this is 4 double crochets. You got your mountain, you got your valley, got your mountain, got your valley, got your mountain. So depending on how you want your colors to look, if you want to every single row change colors, then you would not finish that 4th double crochet. You change colors at this step. So let me just take out my 4th. So I did 3 double crochets. You would yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2, and instead of yarning over and finishing your double crochet, you would drop your yarn, add your color if you wanted every single row. But if you want to do what I'm doing, it's 4 rows of this color. So I'm going to stick with my tan by pulling through, and now the 2nd row you chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn your work. And now this is the pattern the rest of the way. You are going to go into these spaces between your clusters with your clusters, with your 3 double crochets. You yarn over and you do your 3 double crochets in that space. So that space right there. and this is the start of going up the mountain. So that's your first cluster. That'll be your second cluster. You go in that to your next 3 double crochets. This is your third cluster. Like so, 1, 2, 3 clusters. And then your fourth cluster is the top of that mountain. You chain 3 after your 3 double crochets and do 3 more double crochets in that same space to keep that mountain going. And that's your first cluster to go down your valley. Go in the next space with 3 double crochets. Your third cluster. And in the next space, your fourth cluster of 3 double crochets. Now, this is your valley. You're going to skip this hole and you're going to go over here to the next and do your 3 double crochets. So you skip over your valley, go in the next hole and do 3 double crochets. And that keeps your valleys going. Like so. So it's coming along. And that's the first cluster to go up the mountain. So you need 3 more in those spaces. And that's the pattern the rest of the way. You're going in these big spaces now. At the top of the mountain, do 3 double crochets. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 double crochets in that same space to keep the mountain going. And you just repeat that again. Now you're at your valley, skip it and go in the next space way over here. Do your 3 double crochets. Chain 3 for your final mountain. Do 3 double crochets in that same space for the top of your mountain. And then work your way back down. This is your fourth. And you only do those 3 double crochets. And at the beginning, there is a chain 4 and there's a nice hole because you skipped over and did a cluster, so you need to make it look exactly like that. And this is how you keep your lines straight on the side. So after your fourth cluster, you're gonna find, that's 1, 2, 3 double crochets. You're gonna find your chain. Now you can go into the space of your chain 4, or you can go into the top of your chain 4. I like to go in the actual chain. So you yarn over and you just do 1 double crochet. So not this, because that's a part of your double crochet. It's right over here to the next. Like that. And you yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So now you chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, turn your work, and you just repeat that second row. So over here, you do your first cluster, not in this space, but over here, do your second cluster, do your third cluster, do your top of the mountain, fourth cluster, chain 3, do 3 more double crochets in that. That's your first cluster to go down the mountain. That's your second cluster. That's your third cluster. That's your fourth cluster. And then you're at your valley. You skip your valley, go over here, and then you just keep repeating that pattern until you get 4 rows, and then you add your second color. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get my 4 rows, and I will meet you back so I can show you how to color change actually with color, because I kind of just talked you through how to do it, but to actually do it with color this time. I did my 4 rows. I actually frogged my whole project because I forgot that my stick that I'm using for this one is literally from edge to edge. It's just out of screen over here, but just imagine the other part of the stick is literally lined up. I need it to be past my wall hanger on both sides, and it is not. So I needed it to fit this, and it's perfect for just 2 mountains. But that's okay. I wanted to show you exactly if you wanted to make the 3 mountains and it looked exactly like this wall hanger, I still wanted to walk you through it. This is my last mountain, my 4 clusters. So towards the end is where you have your chain 4, and you should do your 1 double crochet in that chain. You yarn over, pull through 2, and you stop there. Drop your yarn, grab your next color. So you're gonna make your slip knot, have it ready, put that on your hook. Don't pull it too tight, just push your slip knot up there, and then you're gonna pull through those 2 loops of your first color. Then you're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like before. You can cut off this color, and I like to do a simple, not too crazy tight because you don't want it to mess up your stitches that it is attached to, but just a simple like double knot, and then you weave in those ends later. So after you chain 4, then you turn your work, and then you just continue on with this color for 4 rows. So you got your 4 clusters going up your mountain, and just continue like you were doing. Turn. And now you just repeat. So 3 more rows of this color or that color if you're using the exact same pattern. And then I will meet you when I'm all the way at the end, and I will show you this part. And I will show you how to attach it to your wood. So I'm going to finish my last double crochet, and you can chain 1 and pull through, or you can just pull through, and then just give yourself a little bit to tie in or weave in. Then you flip your work so that your mountains are now upside down. Now, depending on the stick and depending on how far you want your hanger to drape down, like if you want it really close, mine is going to have to probably be a little bit farther away because it's not an even stick or dowel that could just be straight across, but you don't need a whole lot. So I will probably only need maybe about that much that I will cut, and then I will need a little bit more for this one, and so on. So I'm just giving myself about that much. So now that you have your piece of yarn, you're gonna find that corner hole. Just push the yarn through it. You can use your crochet hook if you need to, and it should look like this. Now, this part, you're gonna go underneath your branch, like so. It should look like that. And I need to give myself a little bit of space And then you just make a simple knot. So that looks about right. I'm gonna do another knot like so. This is gonna be the trickier one. I gotta make sure that my branch looks fairly straight in the crazy shape that it's in, and then do my next one. Again, from the front, push your yarn through it like so. It should look like this. Put this yarn underneath your branch like so, and then you just tie your double knot. Find your chain space, push your yarn through like so, go under your branch. So that's all there is. So now I have 3 points, but you will have one more if you did the 70 chains, the 3 mountains. So just do your other one. Now you're gonna make the point with another piece of yarn. And for this size, I'm gonna double up my yarn just to make it stronger. For my other hanger, I did 3 strands to make it even stronger because it was a lot more weight. So this is just whatever you want the point length to be. So it can be, you know, super high, whatever you decide. Just make sure that you give a good amount of yarn on either end to tie it to your branch. So now it's just a simple couple knots on either end to tie it to your branch. Again, wrap it around, do your couple knots. And then you can rotate that knot to the back so you don't see it. Sometimes people leave it in the front, like if you really wanted to be fancy. Okay, so now this part, you take the end of your yarn and you lay it down, and you just kind of figure out the length that you would like your strings to be. So when you get that decided, so that looks really cute. So then you pinch that area where it meets your hanger, and then you just follow it till your yarn meets up with your end. You can let this part go. And then you're just gonna keep weaving it back and forth, making sure you keep track of that end, because this is the part that you're gonna cut all of your strands. So just keep going back, and you're gonna make a lot of these. Now I'm back up to the top where my end is. Now I get my scissors. I'm gonna cut my big yarn, cut that away, and you just get under all your loops and make all your cuts just on this end, and that's all you do. And now you have strands to work with. Now you can get your hook. This will make it a lot easier. All right, so take one of your strands and make sure both of their ends are matched up, and then you follow it to its loop, just keeping it straight. Now you turn your work on its side so that you can see your chains. And for my other hanger, I did every other chain, and I would start with that. And then if you think that's, you know, thick enough, then you can leave it at that. If you would rather every single stitch have a loop in it, then you can go back and fill in the betweens. So put your crochet hook under your first chain, put the loop on your hook, pull through, and you can pull it far enough to where you can get your thumb and pointer underneath it, and then grab your 2 strands, pull through like so, and then pull through. And that's your first one. I'm gonna grab my next one. The same thing, make sure your ends are even, follow it all the way to your loop. And now I'm gonna skip a chain, go in the next chain, like so, put my loop on my hook, pull through. Now, if you don't want to pull all the way to where you can get your fingers underneath, I just do a chain. So you wrap your yarn around and pull it through as if you were doing a chain. That's how I do it, because your hook is already on that yarn and it can pull it through easily. So either way, make sure, see that my ends were not even, make sure they're even like so, and then follow it down to your loop. Skip a chain, go in the next. Put your loop on your hook, pull through. You can lift up as if you were crocheting, wrap your yarn around and pull both of those strands through that loop. Skip a chain, go in the next, like so. Put your loop on your hook, pull through, lift up the yarn so you can wrap it around and pull through. Hopefully you can see that. Skip a chain, go in the next, put it on your hook, pull through, wrap your yarn around, pull through, and just tighten it just a smidge. I have 1 strand left. Make sure you don't use all your strands because you need this length again, and make sure your ends are matched up as if you were going to put it on here. Match up your ends, grab that yarn again from your skein and put that end along with it. Now start rotating. That way you always have the length that you need. And then you just keep track of your ends. Now, if you accidentally cut the other end, I know it might sound complicated, but you're gonna have a strand that is just this length and it's not gonna be usable. You need it to be double the length. So that's why you keep track of your ends and you have to cut it on that side. So imagine this is, fresh yarn. It's laying like this, it's in this bundle, and you were to go and cut this end instead of this one, because remember you're supposed to keep track of that. If you were to just forget that it's over there and just start cutting here, you're just gonna have 1 strand attached to this guy and it's gonna be cut there, and then this guy is gonna be like yay short and not matched up, and you just won't be able to use it. So that's why you keep track of the end, because when you do cut on that same side, then every single piece of yarn is usable. And now you can just keep doing it like you were before, where you skip a chain, go in the next, skip a chain, go in the next, all the way down, and you should get towards the end. It should be perfectly even with a strand on each side, so it's nice and straight. Okay, so now just straighten out your ends, and it should naturally have those mountains and valleys. And then if you want to keep it like your mountains and valleys, just make some sharper cuts Now if you want it straight across, you can go for it. I think I kind of like this. Now for my other hanger, I did just one V. You can just keep cutting away till it looks perfect. I think that looks great. It looks even, this looks even. I think it's ready. So now you can hang it up on the wall. All right guys, so this is where it ended up. It looks so cute. It matches my kitchen perfectly with the little smidge of red. I love that I get to use my driftwood, at least one of them. So be sure to follow me on Facebook and tag me in the ones that you've made. I'd love to see how they turn out, what your style is, and then be sure to like and comment and subscribe and all the good things. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye, crochet friends.